Hi, Year 8. Welcome to lesson 3 in the Vikings topic. As you can see by the title, we're doing a learning map today. So we're basically continuing the little introduction to the topic. So learning goals is to create a learning map, and we'll watch a couple of videos as well. Hopefully, if you can access YouTube, and practice using key terms from the glossary lesson in paragraphs. So, guys, the point of a learning map, okay, so that you can, well, basically map out what we're going to be learning, okay? You can just copy my beautiful artwork out here, or you can create one yourself, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of talk through the learning map. You'll see on OneNote that you also have a kind of breakdown of some bullet points to give you an overview of what we're going to learn about in the Vikings. So to start with, we are going to look at key features of Viking life. So we are going to start with, next lesson we'll look at geography, okay? The Viking homelands, what it was like, where they were from, okay? And how that impacted their culture and how that impacted their future expansion. So that's a really good place to start when we're looking at any culture in history. And next, we'll spend a few lessons looking at what their life was like in their homeland. So we'll look at social features, what jobs people did, for example, cultural features, so what was important to the Vikings, economic features, which will link directly to their later expansion with trading, and political features, so such as who was in charge and things like that. Okay. Linked to that, we're going to look at everyday life for men and for women and children as well. Okay, so here they are in their longhouse. And again, another part of their Viking life is their religious beliefs, which is really interesting. So they, at the start of the Viking period, were polytheistic, many theistic gods. So believed in many gods, such as Thor. Okay, and we'll learn about some of their gods and the mythologies around them. Okay, and then linked to that, we'll then look at a site called Hedeby, which is, well, it was in Viking Denmark, it's in modern day Germany today. And we'll look at what we can learn about Viking life, basically, from that one archaeological site and do some practice source work. Okay. And at the moment, you're due to do an assessment linked to Viking artifacts. Obviously, we'll see how we go with online learning, but don't stress about the assessments yet. Okay, Ben, right, we can see this river coming all the way down, and then the Vikings start to expand. So those of you that have got any ideas about the Vikings, it's probably really this expansion, Viking longships. Okay, so we'll look at the regions that the Vikings went to, so where they raided, who they traded with, and places that they settled. Okay, we'll look at why that happened. Okay, what was it about Viking culture, Viking society, Viking politics that led them to expand away from their homelands? And we'll look at how they were able to do it. And two key reasons how they were able to do it was their weapons and their ships. Okay, but we'll look at other factors as well. So then we'll do some kind of case studies, I guess, of their expansion. So we'll look at the Vikings in North America. Okay, Vikings explored the coast of North America, so we'll look at how they did that. You'll also get to write a saga about a significant individual, Leif Erikson, okay, who it's believed led that expedition. Sagas, which are stories, very important to Viking culture. And then the other case study we'll do is the Viking conquest of England. So it's really good to look at England because they were first raided and then the Vikings settled there and set up trading ports. So it's a really good case study to look at. So within that, we will look at, as it says over here, the impact that the Vikings had on England while they were there. okay, such as the Danelaw, which was basically England was basically cut diagonally into two with the north and east run by the Vikings from Denmark. So they lived under the Danelaw. Okay, and we'll look at historical interpretations of the Vikings from English people that were affected by their raids, but also from other people around Europe and what people have said about them. And we'll also link to this case study. We'll look at the end of the Viking period, which commonly is stated as 1066, which was the last time that the Viking tried to take power in England. Yeah, so that will kind of bring it to a nice end. Then we will think about the legacy of the Vikings up to today. What is their impact? Almost 1,000 years later, we're still talking about them, so clearly they must be important. Okay, and that will be linked to a cultural report for assessment 2. Again, this might change, whereby you will write about, do some research and expand your knowledge of Viking religion, Viking shipbuilding, Viking weapons to write a cultural report. So, like I said, if you just want to copy out my learning map, you can. If you want to create your own, it can look however you want. The idea of the learning map is that you are thinking through what we're going to be doing and start putting ideas together even before we've gone into any detail. Okay, so once you've done your learning map, guys, we're just going to do a little bit of note taking. Okay, I'm hoping you can do this, so that you can access these videos. These 2 videos are really great. Okay, all I'm going to ask you to do is to make introductory notes about the Vikings. I saw from your first lesson that a lot of you have got some ideas about who the Vikings were because you've heard of them. Okay, so all I want you to do is watch these 2 videos and jot down, let's aim, if you can, for 5 things about the Vikings. Okay, it could be anything at all. All right, I've given you some ideas here, but really you could note down what they look like, what their raids were like, why they explored, the countries that they had connections with, any achievements they had. Yeah, anything at all, jot it down. I'm not expecting you to write heaps, but like I said, aim to pick up 5 things about the Vikings. Okay, and then to just finish that off, to kind of finish off our introductory lessons to make sure that we've understood. Okay, it won't be in your books, you'll do it online. I want you to write a paragraph explaining your understanding about the upcoming topic of the Vikings. Okay, you should not only be able to use glossary terms from last lesson, but maybe you should also be able to include some specific facts about the Vikings now. Okay, so again, it doesn't have to be beautifully structured. The idea is that you're starting to use keywords and you're starting to show that you've got some understanding of who the Vikings were. So, for example, I might write, I'll give you one, I might write the Vikings were from Scandinavia. That was mentioned in the glossary, but it's also mentioned in the videos above, and are famous for traveling on their drakars. That's from the glossary. Across the sea to raid. Again, that's from the glossary. Countries such as England, which is what from the, that is spelt right, it just on the drakars. Okay, across the sea to raid countries such as England, which is mentioned in the videos, and it's also up in your learning map as well. So that's should show you what I'm expecting. A couple more sentences would be fantastic as well. Okay, and hopefully what you'll see by doing that is that you're already more knowledgeable than in the first lesson when I asked you, what do you know about the Vikings? Okay, so we'll keep building on that knowledge as we go through. All right.